Yeah,
regardless.
because Brent Brown. Hey, speaking of which, I brought up CJ McCollum. I'll shoot to you first on this one, Parlay Pete. Do you think Dame Lillard makes it through the entire season as a Blazer playing for Chauncey?
Yeah, just because I don't see where the perfect fit and what they want in return comes. I don't know how many years Dame has on his contract. I bet it's probably at least 2.
I'll look it
And
up while you're talking.
it'll be hard for them to find somebody where they get the assets they want. It would have to be one of those, damn, this works out too well. Because they don't want to trade. Let's say that the Russ experiment goes wrong in LA and the Lakers are like the 5th and 6th, 7th seed. They keep losing games that they shouldn't lose. The Lakers would never, the Blazers would never swap Russ for Dame. So, it would have to be a situation that works out perfectly for him to be gone. I think he's just going to have to play out.
He has
They're going to continue to be a team that fights to make the playoff. They're like a 7 seed,
So Dame, he has a player option for 2024, 2025. So the last year that he's contractually obligated is 2023, 2024. So they could play hardball with him this year if they wanted to, if they don't get the deal that they want. Speaking of other players who may want to leave, EB, do you see Brad Beal making his way out of Washington with his unvaccinated ass?
I don't. I feel like if he was gonna ask out, it would have happened already. And now he gets the chance to have his own team for once. Like, yes, he was the man last year, and Russ was sort of second fiddle because he had been there longer. But now there's no one that can say like, hey, no, I'm up here on the same level as you. Maybe Kuz, depending on how he's feeling. But no, it's his team, and it's not even close. And I think he'll fill it out for a year. I'd at least give him a year because I think if he wanted out, he would have asked for it by now.
That's fair. Looking at John Wall, because we're talking about Brad Beal, it makes me think about John Wall, who is going to be like an assistant coach on the roster essentially this year. Does John Wall work anywhere else as an effective player that leads to winning? I hear him going to the Clippers, but does that make sense in your brain? I'll go to you, Parlay Pete, first.
Ceiling, third option on a team that's a playoff team but isn't good enough to get past the second round. Floor, goes to a team, contributes. Let's say for instance he goes to the Clippers. With that type of money, first of all, I don't know how they would make it work. But secondly, we saw the emergence of
it would be a buyout thing. I feel like Ballmer would send Fertitta some money under the table, and
him and Kevin Love are in those similar situations. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and be an insider or anything, but I know that like the Cavs, it's a fucking open secret. They don't want him there, but nobody wants him either. But there's also plenty of teams that would take him if he didn't have that contract.
Yeah, he's gonna end up on the Lakers. He'll end up on the Lakers in the buyout because Kobe Altman gave him that stupid ass contract after LeBron left, similar to the contract that Pat Riley gave Chris Bosh after LeBron left. When LeBron leaves, people just give away money because it makes them feel better.
Yeah, and I just think that with a guy like John Wall, his injury history probably speaks more for his game. More than his game does now, as far as I'm concerned. We'll always kind of remember him as that guy. And maybe he can carve out a career kind of like Derrick Rose has now. Derrick Rose is still a hooper, but we know he's not who he used to be. You know what I mean? But he can still contribute and be a good player. To me, he was
clutch catch by the Giants left fielder.
He was the clutchest. To me, he was the go-to scorer because they kept trying to get the ball to Julius Randle. But to me, he was the go-to scorer for the Knicks. He still can give you 18. And John wasn't a scorer the way that Derrick Rose was.
He could be, though.
Their games are a little similar, and not just because they're both point guards. John takes the ball to the hole, too. They both were coached by Cal. So, there's
John was a better defender than D Rose. I'm not gonna say he was more athletic, but I'll take John Wall's.
Westbrook athleticism.
I'll take John Wall's first step in his prime over you name him. Maybe De'Aaron Fox has a better first step. Maybe.
Collins got an underrated one too. I'm just saying. But
you're a homer.
No, I'm not.
You were at the draft with him, Pierce.
40,
you're a homer.
40, and he shot over 40% from three. And he averaged 25 points a game. But
hey, I'm Team Young Bull now. I've been converted.
He can fucking play. And I hate that they didn't give him his money. But
hey, look, I've talked to some people. I've talked to some Atlanta basketball people, and I've been converted.
Ever come out of here?
Huh?
He is one of the coldest high school players ever, and that's big in Atlanta to be one of. And obviously, we know what he did at Alabama too. But like, he's one of the best high school players
Roll Tide.
in the state of Georgia.